It is time for Cleared to Play. We take you inside the tent, get you updated on the latest injuries in the Bay. Proud to partner with UCSF Health on this segment. Bring in Associate Professor of Orthopedic Surgery, Dr. Brian Feeley. But let's give him a different title today. Let's bring in a man who I had dinner with, essentially, on Saturday night, Dr. Brian Feeley. Wonderful to meet you and your wife over the weekend, Doc.
Nice to meet you, too. By dinner together, you mean in the same room, separated
Correct.
by...
Yeah, I did not want to make it sound like we had rented a back booth or anything with the four of us. But yes, we were in a room of 300 people, and we were four of them.
Yeah, I don't want to make Dibs jealous anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty
exactly.
jealous over here. I'm still waiting for the invite, but I'll go through Curtis and see if we can't get together.
Fair enough.
As Doc Feeley will tell you, this invite wasn't free. But anyway, really, really good to meet you, Doc, and thanks for hopping on. Can we start with Brock Purdy's concussions, or I should say concussion, and then subsequently what we saw happen at the end of the game over the weekend? What was your take on how the 49ers handled this?
Yeah, I think it's important to know that for the most part, these decisions are now out of the team and out of the medical professionals that are associated with the team. So these decisions are made from the booth, from independent neurologists. You may have seen how angry some of the Seahawks players get when this independent consultant comes in and says you need to stop. So I think technically everything is done right. But, you know, when you look at his game the week before, when he was hit pretty hard in that quarterback sneak, nobody picked it up, and he didn't have symptoms for hours afterwards. So I think in the moment, everything was done right. But in hindsight, it's always 20/20 with these, and I'm really glad they've got a bye week coming up because he probably needs some cognitive rest.
And I want to ask you about cognitive rest in terms of repeat concussions. Is there a time frame that allows the repeat concussion to decrease in terms of the potential chance, or is it more just kind of a crapshoot based on the nature of the injury and the nature of what a re-injury would be?
Yeah, that's a really good question because when we look at second hit concussions, they're exponentially worse. So the concern is that if he comes back too soon, especially after having multiple hits to the head, the next one can be essentially season-ending, if not career-ending for some people. And we've certainly had some players who, after multiple concussions in one season, say, that's it. I'm not ready to do this for the rest of my life. I want to feel normal. So I don't think that second hit was bad enough necessarily to say that he's gotten two concussions. That would limit him after 2 weeks off or a solid week and a half off. But I would be taking it easy as much as possible. No practice this week, very little the week after. And if push comes to shove, that's why we have a good backup and give him extra rest. Interesting
stuff. So, Doc, when you say cognitive rest, I'd love to hear more about that. Like I get a brain break. I understand that. That's what students are telling me that they need all the time in the middle of class. But the suggestion certainly sounds like you think that playing football right now is not something that Brock Purdy should be doing.
Yeah, when you think about what cognitive rest is, it's a break from everything that's going to make your brain work to really let the energy that your brain uses to restore the part that got injured with a concussion. So what most teenagers and students won't tell you, that's also supposed to be a break from screens. So that means no running around, no football, no reading, no iPhones, no YouTube, no TikTok, to really give your brain rest. You're supposed to take it easy until you feel symptom-free and then really ease back into things slowly. So the idea of cognitive rest is to let all your brain focus on the recovery part and not allow it to be diverted to do other things.
Wow, and some would call our show 2 to 6 a brain break, Doc. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree.
Or a brain breaker.
Yeah. Something of that sort. Niners pick up Chase Young today via a trade, and he had an ACL repair, pretty bad one, where he took ligaments from one leg to rebuild the ACL in the other. Is this a pretty standard modality for repair of an ACL?
Yeah, I mean, the straight answer is no. For the most part, when we do ACL reconstruction, we take one part of your body to reconstruct the ACL, almost always on the same side. So there's really three choices. The quote-unquote gold standard is taking a part of your patellar tendon with a little bit of bone on either side. There, you can take part of your hamstring or part of your quad. In some cases, or in some other countries, it's not uncommon to take the other side. And in his case, he had some injury to the patellar tendon. So the concern was that you would weaken the central part of his knee too much by taking it on the injured side, so you can take it on the other side. It's not that uncommon. You see it a little bit more commonly in soccer players, and ever so often in some countries they'll even take it from the parents for young people. So it could have been worse.
Wow. Yeah, I actually went cadaver myself when I had my ACL repair, and I kind of wish that I would have harvested part of my own patella with some bone fragment in there. I hear that it's turned out to be a better operation.
I mean, depends on your age. If you're over 35 when you have it done, it doesn't make a difference. But for a professional athlete, it makes sense to have your own tissue. I think the important thing is you look at how long it's taken for him to come back. The Commanders did everything right, which is great for the 49ers. He came back at 11 months, but they really went slow that whole next year. He was on limited snap count. And what you're seeing this year as he eases into that second year back is he should hit his stride and accelerate and get better, hopefully, by the time the playoffs get around.
Dr. Brian Feeley with us, cleared to play on Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Doc, we know about the hairline fracture in Deebo Samuel's shoulder. They're reporting good movement at practice, but how realistic do you think it is for him to play a week and a half from now?
You know, I think it depends on where the fracture is in the shoulder, and obviously we don't have more information, but if he's got a hairline fracture up at the top of the shoulder or in the back on the scapula, then there's a pretty good chance that those will heal in about 4 weeks. Again, this is a great time for a bye. This will let everything calm down, allow that time, give him enough time for him to feel healed. The tough part, unlike when Ray got injured and he could play in a cast or he could have surgery, there's no way to immobilize a receiver's shoulder. So he's got to feel good. He's got to have full range of motion, and he's got to be able to take a hit before he comes back.
One from the world of basketball for me, Doc, and it's Draymond Green, who missed a couple of weeks of preseason and practices with the ankle sprain. Did you see any negative effects in his return to the floor?
No, I thought he looked great. I know he was on a minutes restriction, but I think he's looked fantastic so far. Again, the Warriors training staff is so good at easing these guys back in, making sure that they're looking at the entire season and postseason in mind. So my guess is they'll continue to have them in that 20 to 30 minute time frame. Take a look at them. It's a little bit tough with so many away games and some back-to-back early in the season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he sat or had under 20 minutes in the next couple weeks. But, I mean, he looked good so far.
Doc, once again, great to meet you, and thank you for coming on with those answers today.
All right. Happy Halloween, guys.
To you as well,
Doc.
Dr. Brian Feeley, who is dressed up as a doctor for Halloween. So the proceeding was sponsored by UCSF Health.